There is a theory that surpasses everything we could have ever imagined and thought. This idea goes beyond aliens and strange interstellar travelers, something that falls within scientific probability and is gaining more and more space among amateur scientists and ufologists. It is the possibility that the UFOs we have been witnessing since ancient times are actually human time travelers. Yes, you heard that right. The professor of anthropology at Montana Tech University examines the premise that strange flying objects and extraterrestrials may simply be each of our distant human descendants using time travel as an anthropological tool to visit, observe, and study us deeply. Could it be perhaps to see what mistakes we made as a species? And perhaps this is the explanation for their lack of contact and their few signs of wanting to take violent action against us. Could it be because it is about them? People, scientists, and communicators have begun to realize how these spacecraft operate, that is, the capacity they have to achieve accelerations and decelerations so incredible that they are still inexplicable to each one of us. The way in which they manipulate the space-time around them, their ships, and the ability to achieve such extreme speeds is a clear indication of how they can disappear from one instant to another without leaving traces. Time travel. And among this theory, there are many more that try to explain who are these mysterious visitors that have been flying our skies for many decades. Thanks to the technological evolution and the increase of unexplained sightings, a community is formed around the subject strong enough to initiate deep scientific explorations in order to find answers. This scientific community has formed the basis to make 2022 the most important year of UFO discoveries and UFO disclosure, a year in which a common goal has been formed to discover who these strange visitors are and why they're here. Mankind has always looked to the skies for meaning, but as our yearning for knowledge has reached farther into the depths of space, the search becomes for the answer to the question, are we alone? If you seek the truth, like, subscribe, click the bell icon. Join us. This is what the world needs. This is disclosure. Are we really alone in the universe, or is it just a matter of time before we find out? Unfortunately, our species still has no satisfactory answer to these enigmatic questions. Being alone in this infinite and vast universe is just one perspective on many things. How could we, after all, be the only beings capable of evolving intelligently? The odds that the universe gives us is that we are not lucky, but extremely common, since life is common in the universe. However, we have yet to discover any sign of life in outer space, and this goes against all odds. On the other hand, as well as fascinating, it would surely be scary to know for sure that we are not alone, and that there really is something more powerful than we can imagine on the face of our Earth. Fascinating for the fact of knowing that there are more worlds with life just like ours, and scary because all of it would be unknown to us, like a ship adrift in an endless sea. Carl Sagan once had the opportunity to summarize these concerns very well. Extraordinary claims always require extraordinary evidence. The big problem is that there has not yet been the first sighting that exceeds normal standards. No contact or in-depth observations of these strange objects have yet been made unless many of these sightings are severely suppressed and classified by governments around the world. But there is a very clear hope, and that is that there are researchers around the world that every day that passes deeply explore the skies in search of evidence that will bring us answers to each of the mysteries that have to do with these mysterious objects. In this 2022, we can be sure that a great UFO disclosure is approaching, and it is approaching with all its strength. New plans have been announced to carry out the search for certain answers to the mysteries of unidentified aerial objects. Among them is the Galileo project, which was set up to strengthen the tools for solid evidence on UFOs and thus discard the less reliable reports and evidence. After all, it is true that science demands quantitative measurements by instruments in order to discard unreliable evidence. It's not the same for an event to occur once than for the same event to occur multiple times. Well, it's also true that there are people who blindly believe in a reality that doesn't exist, either by hallucinations or as a result of deep psychological forces that drive them to ignore the facts. A very clear example is the following. Miracles, happening only once, have no scientific credibility, since science focuses on results that can be reproduced and replicated in order to create similar circumstances over and over again. With this principle in mind, on June 25, 2021, the Pentagon made a report that was delivered to Congress, which was expected to be intriguing enough to prompt further investigations regarding the strange sightings of flying objects in the sky. Due to the lack of answers, instead of dismissing the Pentagon's evidence as insufficient, scientists found a good motivation to conduct studies that could replicate the events with better instruments. And it was at this very moment where the foundation of the new Galileo project was born, which was initiated with the objective of scientifically exploring the true nature of unidentified flying objects. To find some technological trace that these extraterrestrial civilizations have left, clues that correspond to the strange mysteries that these same objects reflect, and above all, that each of these evidences found are scientifically transparent, valid, and systematic. This magnificent project, carried out by high-level scientists, consists of three main avenues of exploration. The first consists of capturing high-resolution images of UFOs using a series of telescopes with focused technology dedicated to specific geographic locations, smart enough to have in them artificial intelligence and deep learning that can differentiate atmospheric phenomena, airplanes, balloons, drones, satellites, or birds from each of the mysterious UFOs in our skies. The second objective of the Galileo project involves the exploration and search for interstellar objects with similarities to Oumuamua, the first interstellar object to visit our solar system. The project aims to use existing and future astronomical surveys to discover and monitor the properties of interstellar visitors to the solar system. Finally, Project Galileo will search for possible satellites orbiting the Earth in order to explore possible alien objects and are exploring and investigating the Earth's surface. As humans, we have evolved to a point where we are capable of creating such artificial intelligences, ultimately capable of interstellar travel to distant destinations in our universe, such as habitable planets around other distant stars, where they could reproduce with the help of accompanying 3D printers. After all, thanks to the number of sightings, different governmental organizations are becoming interested in exploring for accurate answers that can further clarify the bleak picture. The interest in UFO sightings, particularly on the part of the military, is not new. In 2007, the U.S. Department of Defense quietly conducted the establishment of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which was designed to conduct corresponding investigations with sightings, until it closed in 2012 and subsequently validated its existence in 2017. Yes, the truth is out there, patiently waiting for us. Currently, there is a lack of coordination between each of the organizations engaged in UFO detections. However, Robert Powell, a board member of the Scientific Coalition for UFO Studies, clearly stated that thanks to technological breakthroughs, everything will improve by 2022. But before all this is possible, Powell mentioned that groups have to get the targeting right so that specialized systems can detect truly unusual activity. Yes, these are very exciting times. Times when many people are learning how important it is to know what's out there, especially those things that have been watching us for decades. There is evidence that a large percentage of the sightings captured have no explanation whatsoever. Sightings of objects that demonstrate aeronautical capabilities beyond any known human technology. Each of the information obtained in recent times is extremely interesting, but unfortunately, scientifically it is not useful to establish concrete answers to these mysteries. This, without a doubt, is a subject worthy of open scientific investigation, until there is a scientific consensus based on evidence rather than prior expectation or belief. A consensus that achieves teamwork for a common goal: answers. For if there are indeed extraterrestrial spacecraft visiting the Earth, it would greatly benefit us to have the opportunity to explore and study their natures and intentions, as well as the opportunity it represents to exponentially expand our technological capabilities as well as our understanding of our place in the universe. A scientist, after all, must consider all possible hypotheses raised by the reports, and since little information is available, it has not yet been possible to say with certainty what the strange flying objects around us are. However, if all goes well, 2022 promises to be a wonderful year full of unprecedented discoveries, thanks to the Galileo project and the launching of the James Webb Telescope. A year in which UFO disclosure will have a gigantic impact on the lives of each and every person living on the planet. We are human, and one of our greatest goals is to find together the most precious thing in the universe, those mysterious truths that are so hidden from us.